I'm Amy Cherry. This local news is a service of Flagler County's Toyota dealer, Beaver Toyota, here to wow ya. An unconscious man is found floating in waters in Flagler Beach. Sheriff's deputies were called to Varn Park Monday afternoon. Sheriff Rick Staley.
Apparently, a young man had been pulled from the ocean and observers were performing CPR. He was transported to the hospital where he was pronounced deceased.
Staley says no witnesses were able to identify the man or say they saw him go into the water. He was wearing only boxers and socks.
Detectives are investigating. At this time, we do not believe there is any need for concern in the community based on the circumstances of how he was located.
An autopsy will determine his cause of death. Flagler County Sheriff's deputies arrest a duo in a stolen vehicle in connection with a wild chase that began in St. Johns County. Sheriff Rick Staley.
Sheriff's deputies spotted the vehicle, but because of the reckless nature of their driving, did not pursue, but used Flagler County Fire Rescue's fire flight to observe the vehicle. The Highway Patrol then spotted the vehicle and started pursuing it. Ultimately, it ended up on Lambert Drive where the brakes failed and it went into the intercoastal nearby canal.
Staley says the couple then swam to shore and ended up in handcuffs Monday. The driver, Alexander O'Connor, faces charges of grand theft, aggravated fleeing and eluding, reckless driving, and resisting arrest. A temporary halt to small box discount stores in Palm Coast is approved, and as we hear from John Arking, it prompted a sharp exchange between two members of City Council.
A 4-1 vote on Tuesday approved a 150-day moratorium on discount stores like Dollar General, giving city officials time to review regulations and ensure there'll be sufficient input from residents on any future stores being built. The lone no vote was Councilman Jack Howell, who claimed that a pair of aerospace companies offering 250 jobs with a starting salary of $60,000 backed out of coming to Palm Coast after a moratorium was first proposed earlier this year. Councilman Nick Kloufas challenged Howell to provide him with contact information for the company so he could verify the claim. At that, Howell went after Kloufas.
I'm not going to belabor the fact. I know the companies I talk to. Nick, this is a campaign ploy that you're running right now. Cut the nonsense. I tell you how it's going. This is what happened to these companies. They feel that our city is heavy-handed, and they just don't like this. That's the bottom line. We can talk about this some other time, some other place, but not while you're campaigning. I don't want to make this a big issue. Sorry, buddy. That's the way I feel.
Mayor Melissa Holland defended Kloufas, saying he'd been consistent in his support for months on the moratorium and then gave him the last word.
My challenge still remains for you actually to put me in touch with one of these companies that is not going to bring 250 jobs at $60,000 to this community. That's outlandish. They wouldn't be in these pocket parcels. I look forward to your response. Thank you. The
Palm Coast Planning and Land Development Regulation Board is scheduled to discuss potential changes to regulations over the small box stores at its July 15th meeting, with the City Council then taking up the options on August 4th. From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm John Arking.
Local COVID-19 costs could be picked up by FEMA. With more, here's Tony Magoo.
Flagler County Emergency Manager Jonathan Lord presented to the Board of County Commissioners that the county has incurred about $1.5 million in expenses related to COVID-19. However, he believes much of it will be reimbursed by FEMA under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Lord, speaking at Monday's Flagler County Commission meeting, broke the bill down for the commissioners.
As of the end of last week, we've incurred about $1.5 million in expenses tied to COVID-19, which we believe much of it will be reimbursable by FEMA, and the balance should be reimbursable under that CARES Act.
John Brower, Financial Services Director, said the county is getting about $5 million up front in relief, which is 25% of what the county is expected to get. The rest will be on a reimbursement basis from the state. The good news is that we have the money, Brower said, and we're going to figure out the best way to use it. For Flagler's Morning News, I'm Tony Magoo.
Some utility lines are underground, but why not all of them?
Florida Power and Light spokeswoman Marie Berto says that 50% of the system is either hardened or underground. She said that they learn from storms, and so from Irma.
We have a pilot program right now across all of our service territories called Storm Secure Underground. And what that is doing is undergrounding neighborhood power lines. And we're studying that because we want to come up with cost-effective ways to be able to do that throughout our system.
Berto said that it might not work everywhere because it might be harder to detect faults in some areas that flood. But she said they're studying the idea. To listen to Marie Berto talk about what FPL does for you, download the Flagler Radio app and then go to the Free for All Friday podcast. Tomorrow, how has COVID-19 affected FPL? From the WNZF Newsroom, I'm Deb Albertson.
And now you're up to date on Flagler's Morning News. I'm Amy Cherry.